Beautiful. How you doing, Via 21? It's so nice to have a new cohort with us. My name's Eric, cohort of Japan 19, the first cohort that came out of Japan, slightly before everything got disrupted and everything kind of went online for the innovator situation and team. Hope you guys are enjoying and having a good experience, even though it's probably slightly different than the experience I had. My name's Eric. I've been putting some stuff into the chat to let you know a little bit about me. I won't spend a lot of time introducing myself, but if you want to connect with me at a later time or just look at some of my research and projects and things going on, please take a look at those links in the chat. I don't have much time with you, so I'm going to get right into it. I'm going to be talking about immersive tourism, a couple of projects. I do a lot of research and work around immersive learning, augmented virtual realities, mixed realities, diminished, all that good stuff. The metaverse is what they like to call it these days, right? And I have a bunch of things I'd like to share with you, mainly stuff that's been kind of iterated on and changed because of the global pandemic, right? So now we have this kind of more melding, a mixing of real life and digital contents, and I'm trying best to leverage some of that stuff, and also doing research into how best to think about how much we want to augment or simulate environments for learning lessons, curriculum, etc. So we're going to have to start thinking about this more and more as the future, as more immersive technology gets ubiquitous and widespread. Which situations do we want to eliminate the use of technology or augment with contents that are integrated into our real world, like a Pokemon Go situation, or how much we want to simulate something's too dangerous, something's too expensive, and kind of get some best practices and some good case uses out of those. I do some research, and I run a research group here in Japan. Hello from Japan, by the way, where we do a bunch of stuff around this, mostly in virtual reality in language acquisition. A couple of things and examples. Here's an application I developed called Orientation, bringing stuff into the real world, teaching students what it means to connect digital things to real things and people and places and all of the things that go along with all the information that's curated with our phones. It's sort of like a digital literacy meets, it's also a tourism aspect to this as well. And that, along with other things, students are doing all types of projects and things at our university and our high school connected to our university. For example, Cuffs Go. Students are taking these augmented reality enhanced images and cards with the app and creating kind of gamified tours where you run all over campus, solving hints and puzzles and things like that. It's sort of like a location-based, curated, gamified tour you can take by yourself. Instead of getting a tour from a student, you come by yourself, you get a challenge, a hint, you go to the next place, and before you know it, you know how to go to the library and check out a book, or you know the specifics of how friends meet and where on campus. So we're connecting all these stories all over campus and through these kind of experiments through this technology. And this is me at my lab doing experiments of trying to teach from VR to people in Zoom, because we had to do that more in recent days as well. Right now, I'm going to put a couple more links into the chat. I'm sure you guys are all techies, and you know about augmented reality, virtual reality. I don't have time to go into that, but I have a lot of resources online to get into this a little bit deeper, and I just put a couple of those links in the chat. But really, I want to talk about something that came about, a project that I was doing face-to-face, and we went online and became so much more, so much bigger, so much better. A lot of good pedagogical key and interesting things happening because of the shift that we had to do during the pandemic. And it's called the My Hometown Project. And basically, it is targeting students that are unable to do study abroad because of the pandemic. And now it's starting to augment, preview, and sort of amplify existing study abroad programs and sort of get back some cultural exchange, some of the empathy machine that a lot of people are calling what's happening in the VR and VR research circles. And essentially, it's an exchange program where students are going through a course. They're learning how to create, curate, and tell stories about the places they grew up. And through virtual reality, they learn a little bit about storytelling, a little bit about the technology that goes into what virtual reality is, and how to tell the story through their eyes. They're the protagonist in the story. And also, at the same time, starting to collect, curate, and offer to students virtual reality tours of places through students' eyes all over Japan and now the world. So students are popping in, not coming to Kyoto, where I live, Kyoto, Japan, and going to the most famous temple. They're going to, for example, a park bench in a suburb of Kyoto and learning how a student met their friend for the first time, or took their dog for a walk and had their first taste of okonomiyaki, which is a local dish here in Kyoto, right? So these are kind of things that we're leveraging and doing a type of travel, a type of storytelling that really kind of lends itself, has a lot of affordances to this technology. So right, this program's gone through a lot of iterations. It started out in Google Tour Creator. Might get into a little bit about what happened there. Moved over to a couple of other platforms, and now I have developed my own platform to take over, so we can have a little bit more of control over the privacy and flow and data collection that's happening with VR as well. When it first started, it kind of looked like this. Oops. We had some stuff happening in the classroom. One student was on Google Expeditions. Maybe some of you were familiar with that when it was out. And they were curating tours or creating tours. This is part of a vocational training program for students that were in our tourism department. They were going into tourism and hospitality fields. They were learning how to conduct tours in their second language of English. But we had to pivot away from that. Google Expeditions was sunset. A lot of the Google VR stuff was sunset last year. Expeditions, Daydream, et cetera, et cetera. So we had to pivot this, and at the same time, the pandemic hit. So it actually turned into a good thing. We pivoted it into web VR. Actually, my colleague Mirasa Alizadeh is here, I noticed, and so she is actually a big part of this project as well. Hey, Mirasa, glad you can join us. So we started doing, instead of in-class synchronous tours, we started setting up a virtual online kind of gallery using web VR, where students could come into this space, have some serendipitous moments of meeting people face in this kind of environment. Students would create posters for their tours. They'd go up on a wall, and that wall would then be touched on if you're in virtual reality, or clicked on a link if you're on a mobile or PC, Mac, etc. And you would be transported to these hometown tours all over Japan, and now countries like Indonesia, um, Korea, Vietnam, China, etc., etc. So now this is Arashiyama, Kyoto. This is right next to where I'm broadcasting from today. They have something called the bamboo forest, which is really interesting. But you don't really go to the bamboo forest in this tour. You go to a place off to the side where you can see some kind of the little or lesser known places in this area. So this is Google Tour Creator. Actually, you can't see this tour anymore. Google nuked all of this stuff. All this data's gone. But so that's why we're developing stuff on our own right now. So that turned into something really special. So now we have the latest iteration. It's the fourth or fifth iteration. We have some visiting students from other countries and institutions, up to 8 countries, and now we're opening it up to even more, and hopefully some of you can get your students to share their stories, so we can get more stories from different countries, different perspectives, and really get the most out of something like this. Students are saying a lot of good things about it. They're feeling like they know their classmates a little bit more rather than the traditional Zoom kind of situations. They're feeling like they're connected with their classmates, hearing these stories after going through the process of becoming better storytellers and seeing it through their eyes. A lot of good stuff happening, a lot of things the students are reporting that are really nice about this. I would like to invite you guys, I'm going to put this also into the chat, the link to the website of this project, togetherlearning.com/myhometown. And you can take a few tours of yourself. I invite you to do that as well. The website looks like this. And there's a couple of things about this particular project, the competencies, the story, and then there's an interactive map here where you can come in and just click on places and be transported to those. This is a web version. There's also a VR version as well that I showed you before. So you can take a look at that at your leisure as we move through presentation as well. These are just a smattering of what you might see, which in the student tours.
Welcome to my hometown of Fushimi, Kyoto.
And welcome to my hometown. My hometown is Kota Gede, a sub-district south of Yogyakarta city.
Welcome to my hometown, Malacca, Malaysia.
Welcome to my hometown, Uzi City.
My hometown, Meko City.
In Palembang, South Sumatra.
Oh, welcome to my hometown.
This is Hyostasha Shrine.
My hometown is Moriyama City, Shiga Prefecture.
Right, so you can see that students are saying, welcome to my hometown. This is very much different already than a student saying this, if they're doing perhaps a keynote or a PowerPoint slide presentation on Zoom or something, they would be showing you this is welcome. And so students are having this kind of wonderful reaction of this empathy machine through this project, and they're actually learning how to guide people through their hometown, telling personal stories. And now we have a bunch of these unique and interesting stories from which to share with each other in the world. If you would like to join this project, I invite you to come either email me, my information's in the chat, and also togetherlearning.com/myhometown for the project stuff. I'm opening this up. This is now roughly a 10-week course from which you and your students can join together, or your students can join individually. They learn some interesting information like what is immersive technology, the basics of 360-degree photography. They learn the connection to storytelling and designing experiences. And then they go through step-by-step the process of gaining, curating, designing, and putting up their hometown tour from which to share with the project to other students all over the world. So there's a lot of good things happening around it. There's a lot of interesting things, I think, that it can grow into, and it has grown into because of these interesting things that are happening around it. And I'd like to invite you to join us on this journey, if you'd like, with the link in the chat. I went super fast, and I'm going to put just a few more links in the chat if you guys want to have any more information about the stuff that I'm doing and stuff that is going around about this technology.
Eric, thank you very much. I'll pause the recording, but I presume you can do some question and answers because we've got a little bit of time. If anyone wants to ask anything, it would be a good opportunity.
Yeah, I'm sorry I went rapid fire, but hopefully those links will help you.
I'm always good with rapid